Welcome back to Effing White People, everyone. Or the long version, your friendly neighborhood white people. I'm Harry, and I'm always accompanied by my beautiful, intelligent, loving, caring, I can go on wife,
Brandy. So today we're going to be talking about cloning humans. This is something of a hot topic in our home because we have very different opinions about whether or not it is ethical to clone humans, and what we could do with those cloned humans. So, Harry, you want to start off with your thoughts on the matter?
I think we should clone humans for several reasons. For one, it would be like that movie The Island, I believe it's called, with Ewan McGregor, where basically they're insurance policies. You get sick, something happens, you have something there that, like, if you need a liver transplant, guess what? You got a perfectly functioning, matches every time liver. Also, here's an idea. You can also do clones for soldiers. You could clone the perfect soldier. We could have a bunch of Boba Fetts. Well, no, Jango Fetts.
But is that ethical? Because, so you have, like, yeah, you have the perfect liver, but you can't force me to give you my liver. Why can you force a clone to give you their liver?
It's my clone.
Yeah, but doesn't that clone have rights? Doesn't that clone have the right to their own bodily autonomy? Don't they have the right to their own fucking liver? Because if you take their liver, let's say it's not a liver, right? Because a liver, you can die, you can give half of your liver. But let's say it's not a liver. Let's say it's a heart that you need. Well, they can't live without that heart. So you're killing your clone so that you can live.
Just make a new clone.
But is that okay? Is that fair? Because that clone has a right to live.
Well, hang on. That clone is an extension of me, right? So therefore, well, yes, no.
You and I disagree about that. I say no.
It is an exact copy of me. Now, probably not an exact copy because I would definitely, in the cloning process, tell them to, work the genome into...
So you have a full head of hair?
No. So that, there's no cancer cells and things like that. Full head of hair. I sure the fuck ain't gonna allow my clone to have a full head of hair.
Yeah, but then you could use the hair as a transplant.
No, I'm just gonna be bald.
I don't think a clone is just an extension of yourself. I think a clone is its own separate being that has a right to its own separate bodily autonomy.
But is it even really a person?
Yes, because
it's just a science experiment.
You created it, it's alive, and it is human. Therefore, it's a person. But then again, I also don't think that we should be cloning animals just for shits and giggles, right? So for the same reason, like we have dogs. I don't think it's okay to clone. One of our dogs is named Lilith. I don't think it's okay to clone Lilith so that we can replace Lilith's heart for the same fucking reasons. Because if we clone another Lilith, then we've created another dog that then has a right to its own doggy heart.
Well, when it comes to animals, one can argue you could just simply clone your favorite pet when the old one dies and just keep that pet.
But then you circumvent the grieving process, and I don't think that's healthy.
Yeah, see, that's just it. You're getting in the way of science. And, like, there's plenty of reasons. Like, you don't have to grieve things. And also, if we clone humans, our consciousness, it's going to be us, right?
Maybe, maybe not.
Well, it all depends on if everything that's happened to us, like if we clone ourselves, will their brain be as damaged as ours?
So,
through all the trauma and stuff that we've lived through?
No.
So it could actually be a better version of ourselves.
Yes.
So it is kind of a cheap way of immortality as well. Because if we clone ourselves, we would also have to do it to, like, raise it as a child, unless we just incubate it until it's an adult.
See, I think it's fine to clone humans, right? Like, I think the actual cloning of humans is fine. Like, if we, for some reason, just wanted to clone humans, I can't think of a good reason to, but, like, sure. It's not the cloning of humans that I object to. It's what we do with those cloned humans. I think that if we clone a human, that human has the right to their own body. They have a right to their own mind. We can't just use them for parts. We can't just use them for experimentation. We can't just use them as cannon fodder. Like, we can't do anything to them that we wouldn't do to a human that is born through more traditional means.
We already do this shit to humans that are born through more traditional means.
And I'm against that, right? Like, I don't think I can force you to give me your kidney. I don't think I can force you to give me, your heart when you die, even though you're not using it anymore. So you're fucking selfish for not giving me your goddamn heart when you die.
I already gave you my heart.
Aww.
And you stomp it on a daily basis.
That's my job as your wife.
Well, there is one interesting experiment we can do with clones. We are always curious about connections and like string theory and things like that. Now, if we had our brains that are basically operating on the same, if the exact two brains are operating on the same wavelength, could we find a way to create telepathy?
Are they operating on the same wavelength though? Like, what is that wavelength? Because so much gets changed. There's so much that is nature, and then there's so much that is nurture in the development of humanity. And so I think one experiment that we can do that is, I think there's lots of experiments that we could do that are totally ethical. I think we just have to get the permission of the clone to take part in these experiments, right? Because I would gladly clone myself if my clone was like, yeah, I'm down for this experiment, and then have them be like, okay, so I am a person. I've been through a lot of trauma in my life. Like, this is my experience. This is how I became who I am. Now, my clone, having not gone through all that trauma, is going to have the same brain, but not the same brain, because they're not going to have all of that damage that was done by trauma. So to see like how different we would be, I think that would be an interesting experiment. But then I think that past that experiment, I can't just treat my clone as like an extension of myself.
I think you'd also get jealous of your clone.
Oh, yeah, because they're going to have a better fucking life than me because they didn't go through the shit that I went through. God damn it.
Now, we could simulate the trauma without actually having them go through it, because it's just synapses that are being misfired and stuff, and all we got to do is
torture.
They don't actually have to live through it. They just have to go, ow, that kind of hurt. They don't have to go through everything else.
Yeah, but still, I think that's torture, and I don't want to torture my clone.
But we also can do all this while they're unconscious.
Yeah, but still, you're changing their brain and giving them trauma. I don't think that's ethical.
And also, if we're doing clones for organ farming, I definitely would not give them consciousness.
But is it fair to not give them consciousness? Does that make it better?
I mean, is it fair that we spray hairspray in the eyes of rabbits just to see the effects of it? No, but we still fucking do it.
I don't think that we should do that. We know that hairspray hurts the fucking eyes. I don't think we need to continue to test it on rabbits. Like, hairspray fucking hurts. So let's not do that anymore, just because rabbits don't have the ability to like blink that shit out. But just because we do mean things to rabbits doesn't mean we should do mean things to other humans.
I think we should do more mean shit to humans than we do to fucking animals.
I don't think either is right.
Well, then you're going to get in the way of science, because mean shit has to happen for certain scientific things to happen. I mean, look at a lot of medical discoveries. A lot of medical discoveries were made because people did mean shit to people. We discovered amputation was a lot better than trying to treat gangrene, and just lopping off somebody's limb is mean as fuck, but it saved their life.
Yeah, and we didn't have the ability back then to really treat gangrene in the field back when we were doing like field amputations, but
that's all I'm saying. In the beginning, yeah, some of it's going to be mean until we learn. Until we get to a point where, like, now, in all honesty, I think if we're just going to clone humans for like organ harvesting, we should just clone the organs.
Yeah, I'm all for that, right? Like, if we can clone just a heart,
just clone my heart,
then I think that's great. I think we should not only do that for humans, I think we should do that for fucking pets.
Apparently, my heart. It doesn't beat faster. My heart beats harder. I've been told that by several doctors. Be like, wow, your heartbeat is strong. Like, fast? Like, no, your heart pumps. It thumps. I'm like, oh, is that a good thing? And they're like, I wouldn't be worried about it. I'm like, I'm worried.
That's not a good answer, Doc. That's a worrying answer. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I've been told by a couple doctors, but like, yeah, your heart beats a little bit harder than normal. Faster? No, it just hit. It's got more bass to it. Somebody turned the subwoofer on. Well, should I be worried? You should be all right. I don't like the way you said that. So I do think that we should definitely clone humans for organ farming, but only clone the organs. However, I also think we should definitely clone, like, until we get away from warfare, we need to be cloning perfect soldiers.
I don't think that's ethical either, because I don't think you should clone someone and then make them cannon fodder, even if they are the perfect fucking soldier.
I'm not saying making cannon fodder. I mean, I'm making it so they're not cannon fodder. I mean, clone a soldier that is going to do everything that needs to get done without dying.
Well, then you're not talking about so much about humans. You're talking about like some kind of artificial intelligence put inside a robot.
I'm not talking about
an android.
No, I'm not talking about androids.
Because they have the ability to die if they're fucking human.
Well, yes, but I'm saying like they're not gonna like freeze up in the middle of a situation and things like that. They're not going to lose their nerve. They're not going to, because there are some soldiers out there that go through all the shit, and at the end of the day, they're just like, what?
But
what?
think about it. How would you feel if you were cloned? Like if they made you, like you're a person, and I believe that clones would have the same or should have the same ethical rights as fucking regular humans, for lack of a better term. I don't think it should. Yeah, better than or is it the same as regular humans? So think about that for a minute. Like, is it okay for someone to be like, you know what? You would make a great warehouse worker. So that's all you can ever be is a warehouse worker. And we're going to put you in a warehouse and you're never going to be able to leave that warehouse. Like, you can leave it. You can have like a life if you want, I guess. But your job will always be warehouse worker. You can never do more than that. Because basically what you're assigning these clones to, except a life and death job. You're saying like you have to be a soldier. All you can ever be is a soldier because we've made you the perfect soldier.
I'm saying pick a candidate that's all they wanted to do.
Well, that person might want to, but that doesn't mean their clone wants to. Because their clones are going to have a different brain. Because you can't perfectly, like, I mean...
No, you would just have to Clone Wars it. Like, you would just have to Star Wars Clone Wars it, where you just basically raise them up. And then there are clones out there that do...
But is that ethical?
Is science really ethical?
It's supposed to be. We try to make it as ethical as possible.
Yeah, but...
That's why I can't do the experiments today that they did back in my field in, like, the 60s and 70s. Because, like... No, you can't just put a bunch of people in a fucking prison and convince them that they're fucking prisoners.
Yeah, but you would, wouldn't you?
I mean, no, because I think it's unethical. No, because I think it's unethical. But did I love studying?
Yeah, but the hesitation, you're like, I mean, no. Even though on the inside you're like, I would totally.
Did I love studying the Stanford prison experiment? Yes, I think the Stanford prison experiment, as far as and Milgram's experiments on, you know. I think they're fascinating. I'm glad that I got to study them. I'm glad that I got to study like little Albert. I think these things are fucking fascinating.
Yeah, and without unethical science, you wouldn't have that.
Would I repeat those things? No, because we know now that taking a baby and convincing it to be scared of like literally everything is torture. And I don't think we should be torturing babies. I don't think that it's okay to convince people that they're basically killing someone or giving someone a heart attack through shock therapy as part of an experiment, because thinking that you're killing someone is torture. I don't think we should be able to take people and put them in a prison and basically lock them up and convince them that they're prisoners.
People torture babies all the time when they bring them to church.
I mean, true facts, but that's different because I personally don't think that we should be allowing children in church, but that's just my personal opinion. I don't think we should torture children. I don't think we should do these things that are unethical because they are unethical. I think there's got to be a better way to learn, and we can find an ethical means to do that. Now, am I smart enough to find all the ethical means to do everything? No, I am not.
And see, here's the thing. Without the unethical science, there are some things out there that we would have never discovered.
This is true. This is true.
Like lobotomies.
Lobotomies are unethical. At the time, they were the best that we had.
And they're still used today.
No, they're not. No one's getting a lobotomy today in the modern world.
Okay.
No one is getting a lobotomy today in the modern world.
Okay.
So back that up. Where are people getting modern lobotomies?
Look at third world countries.
I said in the modern world.
Just because it's a third world country doesn't mean it's not a modern world.
It's not they're not living. If it's a third world country, which we don't use the term third world country anymore. We use the terms like impoverished country, but
oh my God, PC principle.
But in these impoverished countries, like they're not living in the modern world, so they're.
Oh no, they're living in the modern world. They're just not using
modern medicine. Then they're not living in the modern world. Also,
they are living in the modern world.
Where are they?
They're not. They don't have access to everything around them, so they have to use what's available.
Name a place where they're still doing lobotomies.
I don't know. I'd have to look it up. Hang on.
Yeah,
modern lobotomies, as performed historically with tools like ice picks, are no longer practiced, while some psychosurgical techniques still exist.
Psychosurgical, yes. Psychosurgical techniques exist. Yes, you can still.
It's a fucking lobotomy.
It's not a lobotomy. There are lots of psychosurgical procedures, like a split brain, which is something that they do to prevent some types of epilepsy from getting so severe. Or like severe forms of epilepsy, like they might do a split brain procedure. That's pretty.
Just because you change the terminology doesn't mean
a split brain procedure isn't a lobotomy. It's a psychosurgical procedure. It is a surgical procedure involving the brain and psychology and.
So what about a bilateral cigulotomy?
That's a split brain procedure.
It's a modern day lobotomy.
It's not a modern day lobotomy. A modern day lobotomy is when they take out your frontal lobe, and they no longer take out your frontal lobe. We have realized that the frontal lobe is so fucking important, and we no longer like try to fuck with the frontal lobe as far as like just taking it out or.
If you think. Well, hang on a second. Modern day lobotomies might actually be useful.
Yes, please explain that to the person sitting here with a psychology degree.
Trump supporters. Ha! Gotcha, bitch!
I don't think giving them a lobotomy is the answer.
It fucking might make them smarter.
It will not make them smarter. It is more likely.
It can't make them dumber.
It is more likely to make them vegetables.
I'm waiting for a downside to that.
Hey, Trump supporters can be saved. There are Trump supporters who have come around and spoke up against Trump. He has the lowest approval rating.
And I'm talking about the true diehard fucking, even after everything, knowing all the information that's out there, have still been like, well, Trump himself needs a fucking lobotomy.
I don't think he needs a lobotomy. I don't think a lobotomy is going to solve the problem. Taking out his frontal lobe isn't going to solve the problem.
It ain't going to make him any dumber. What about fucking RFK Jr.?
It's not just a matter of their smarts, honey. It's a matter of what the temporal, or not temporal, what the frontal lobe does. It's.
Yeah, listen. Okay, you're absolutely right. It's got nothing to do with their intelligence. But
I mean, it'll partially reduce their intelligence, yes.
I mean, well, in RFK Jr., that fucking worm he had, I'm sure reduced a good chunk of his fucking intelligence.
But, like, because the frontal lobe is responsible for a lot of things.
Apparently he forgot about his fucking auntie Rose, who had a fucking lobotomy done to her.
Yeah.
This dumbass thinking, people with autism don't pay taxes. What the fuck is wrong with you?
I mean, he's an idiot.
And now because of him, we have more cases of fucking measles.
Because of him and his ilk, yes.
I mean, listen, you might say lobotomies are wrong, but I'm looking at several cases where I'm just like, are you sure about that?
Do you know what a lobotomy does?
It shuts them down. It basically bedridden them. It's just... You're a sack of organs operating with no fucking...
Not necessarily. It depends on exactly where in that frontal lobe you hit when you do the lobotomy, or if you completely remove the frontal lobe, then you completely remove their ability for like higher executive functioning. So you're taking away, in essence, you're taking away part of their intelligence, but you're taking away their ability to make sane decisions, which they might not even have the ability to make sane decisions now, as proved by Trump.
So you're saying if we did a lobotomy on Trump and RFK Jr., nothing would change?
It would make them worse, not better.
I can't see how they can get any fucking worse.
Believe me, they can. Do you want to be the one wiping Trump's ass? Or do you want to be the one telling him that he can't,
Why the fuck would I wipe his ass?
Somebody's got to.
No, we don't.
We can't. That's inhumane.
With all the shit that he's done, he can sit there with a fucking dirty ass and get chapped. And if I got to do it, I'm coming in with a fucking pressure washer. That motherfucker he's going to turn into a fountain because I'll just stick the nozzle in and press.
I'm not a fan of Trump, obviously. And I think that, but I don't think that we can just leave him in a dirty diaper.
I mean, I'm sure he's already in one now. I'm pretty sure that fucking old bastard's wearing the pins.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And shits himself and he's like, I mean, I got the greatest shit. It's the best shit. Nobody's got the price of my shit is going down 90%. But cloning of human,
yes,
we definitely should.
How do you get around the ethical constraints?
You don't.
So what if someone decided to do something unethical to you? Like put yourself in those.
There's nothing fucking stopping them right now from doing something unethical. Look at ICE.
Okay, so then you go volunteer for all those experiments instead of forcing other people to do them.
I'm not forcing anybody.
You're forcing clones.
I'm forcing a copy of me.
Which is a person.
It's just a copy of me.
It's a person. Explain how that's not a person.
All right, until that person goes through all the shit that I've gone through. And
they're going to go through their own shit.
And at one point, are we incubating them? Because I'm talking about incubating them until they're adults. So they don't go through a fucking thing.
Well, you still go through things as an adult. And being kept asleep, essentially, for 42 years is gonna have an effect on the brain. Probably not a positive one. So you're putting them through separate shit.
All I'm saying is you want to make an omelet, you gotta crack some eggs.
Yeah, but you're not volunteering to be that egg. You're volunteering another human being to be that egg.
I'm getting eggs.
To volunteer to be that egg.
No. Why when I can make my own eggs?
Because that's like saying I'm going to make a child and I'm going to force that child.
I'm not saying do it to children. Incubate that motherfucker.
No, you're gonna have a child and then you're gonna keep it asleep for 42 years.
Not yet.
41 years.
Thank you.
So that you can then use it for experimentation. But it's no different than doing that to a child because that person's not going to be able to develop any of the like cognitive systems that you and I have because they're going to be asleep for 41 years. All of the development that we go through to become like functioning adults, they're not going to have that if you keep them alive for 41 years. So then you're essentially doing that to an infant that just looks fully grown. There's no way to
Isn't that more ethical though?
No, that is less ethical.
Why? Because they haven't gone through anything.
So it's okay to experiment on babies?
You're asking the wrong motherfucker.
It's not okay to experiment on babies. I don't think it's okay to experiment on babies. I don't think it's okay to experiment on fucking clones.
So you're saying it's not okay to experiment on humans?
I think you can volunteer. I think the system we have right now works pretty well. You can volunteer. And I don't think I don't think it's completely blanket against like wrong to volunteer to experiment on clones. I think it is okay to clone a person and then ask that clone, will you be a part of this experiment?
You gotta wait for fucking 24 years for that brain to fully develop, and then I ain't got time for that. Let's just fast track this shit.
Well, no, I don't even think you have to necessarily wait for them to be like old enough for their brain to settle. It depends on what experiment you're doing. Like, I think it's fine. Like, take an infant, okay?
Okay.
Clone that infant.
Uh-huh.
Have one infant go to the same thing we do with twins now that are separated at birth. We study them. That is an experiment. Where you take one and you put it in one home, you take another and you put it in another home, and you see how likely they are as they get older. You can't get much closer to clones than twins, right? Than identical twins. That's the closest we can currently get to a clone. And we do that now. Like, there have been so many twin studies where the twins are like, yeah, no, we'll participate. And then the parents are like, yeah, no, like, we will participate. And then you raise two twins separately and you see how likely they are. How alike they are.
Yeah, I was about to say, why are you saying likely?
How alike they are. How likely they are to have the same problem. Physical problems, mental problems, psychological problems, cognitive issues. Like, you can look at a whole host of things. And I think that is totally okay. I think it's okay to clone me and see who that clone becomes when they don't live the life that I've lived.
See, here's the thing though. If we cloned you, I wouldn't let you raise that clone.
Oh yeah, I don't want to raise that clone. I want someone else to raise it. I want that clone to be in a safe and loving environment. And I want to see what comes from a little Brandy raised in a safe and loving environment. Who does she become?
So you can kill it later because you're jealous of all their achievements?
I wouldn't kill it. I might be jealous of it because it becomes a better version of me. But, I mean, I wouldn't kill it.
Now, here's a good reason to clone humans. Retirement. You and I, we don't have kids.
So we're going to make our clones look after us?
We basically clone ourselves as caretakers.
But then we're forcing someone to take care of us. That's still not ethical. I don't think it's okay to force someone to do something like that. I can't force me to take care of me.
Why not? Aren't you the best person to take care of yourself?
Because Brandy B, as we're going to call her.
Brandy with an I?
Brandy B is not responsible for taking care of Brandy A.
Or would we just call her by your middle name?
We don't speak of that. Brandy B isn't responsible for taking care of Brandy A. Brandy B gets to have her own choices. And maybe Brandy B chooses to take care of Brandy A. But if Brandy B decides to not take care of Brandy A and instead go off and become try her skill at acting in fucking Hollywood or in Georgia, because apparently Georgia's the hotspot for that now. That's her right to do. She doesn't have to spend her years taking care of me. And then we clone a younger version of me to take care of me. Well, what happens when I die?
Well,
what happens to Brandy B when Brandy A dies? Like, I think we're creating more ethical problems and we're not really solving anything. I think we're creating problems to be solved. I don't really see the point in that.
That's the whole point of science.
Creating problems to be solved?
Yeah.
No, it's supposed to solve problems.
But then in the process of trying to solve problems, you create problems. And then you got to solve those problems because when you're originally trying to solve problem A, you can't figure out what the fuck's going on. So you have to develop the science to do so. And in the process of all that, you're creating problems just to solve the original problem.
Yeah, but
I mean, Isaac Newton fucking did that when he created fucking calculus.
If we know that we're going to create problems, I think we have to find a better way. I think there's a better way than cloning humans.
Androids.
Which brings up another interesting question.
Yes.
Would androids have rights?
Well, basically, an android would just be your brain inside of a cybernetic organism.
So what makes a person then? If it has a brain, if it has a human brain, is that a person?
Well, humans are just brains that are protected, that are held up with, fluid sacks and skeletons with a flesh armor. Humans are just right behind our eyes. That's all we are, is just what sits on top of our neck. That's all we are. Everything else that extends off that is just arbitrary. We're just a brain and a skeleton and a bone fucking mobility suit that's covered in flesh armor.
I don't necessarily disagree, which means androids have rights, which means it's not okay to use them that way either.
Oh, fuck. If we're doing androids, then we're doing androids to cheat death and immortality.
So
because if you create an android, you can create lungs that don't fail ever. You can create a heart system that doesn't fail ever. And you then because all the brain really needs is oxygen. So if you just create a filtration system, if you just hook a brain up to a system that gets its constant fuel, that doesn't have to worry about, livers and kidneys and bladders and everything else to help deal with, having to breathe in the very air that kills us, because we are organisms that we survive breathing air that kills us. Because oxygen is, if we breathe in too much pure oxygen, we die because our lungs can't handle it. So we need blood to help filter it all out, because we breathe in oxygen or in other things that's in the air. Our lungs filter all that shit out, and it gets into our bloodstream, and it sends it up to the brain. Our brain then takes the oxygen and all that shit to fuel itself, and then it continues, but everything else that's going in there is just killing us. And we exhaust fucking shit that the plants are like, hey, that's what we need. We're just fucking air filtration systems for plants. Yes, but no, we're air filtration systems for plants. Now, and if you think about it for a second, before mammals, before smaller mammals came along, the world was occupied by giant, terrible lizards.
Yes.
And the reason why they were so big is because the Earth was rich in oxygen.
Yes.
And that's why also the fauna was so huge too, because they had a lot of big things exhausting carbon dioxide. And then a rock came along and went, rock beats planet. Boop.
Okay, so an android is basically your brain inside a machine is a human, right? Like you would give it human rights.
Well, let's look at some of the androids from cinema. RoboCop.
Okay.
Did RoboCop have rights?
I think he would.
No, did he?
Did he in the movie? Not as many as he should have had.
Data from Star Trek. Even though Data was a weird android, because I think Data did not have a human brain.
No, so Data is what we would now call just your standard AI.
But Data did develop a personality.
Yes.
And what was the one from Orville? I want to say Hex, but it's not it.
So, but what is your opinion? So let's say a data-style android. Should a data-style android have human rights?
Well, it's not human, so no.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you think that animals should have human rights?
No, I don't think animals should have human rights. I think animals should have animal rights, and humans should not encroach on them rights.
But you basically give animals the same rights that you give humans.
No, I don't.
What rights do you not give animals that you give humans?
So the difference with me with humans and animals is animals should not be used for experimentation. Animals should have the ability to be animals, to just roam free and be animals. Now, I say this with dogs and cats and snakes in this house as pets, but if I had the ability to, I wouldn't own animals. If I could just simply walk out into nature and interact with them and they not fear me like most animals do. Most animals have developed a natural fear of humans because they understand that no, despite what their size and the lack of claws and canines and things like that, that is the most dangerous thing I have ever encountered. So animals, in my opinion, should just be able to roam free and be a part of the cycle that it's been developed, because in my opinion, animals have a connection to that cycle, because even though dogs are,
Inbred wolves,
that species has been around a lot longer than fucking humans. Wolves and canines and things like that have been around longer than fucking humans. Are you Googling this right now? Because animals have a connection to the earth. That's why dogs can sense earthquakes before humans can. Cats are just assholes. Domestic cats are just fucking assholes. Cats are more human than humans.
I did go to Google this, but the first thing that came up was a question on Reddit, which says, "Can wolves turn into humans?"
Lycanthropy. Well, it's humans turning into wolves, but
yeah, but that was the first thing that popped up was, "Can wolves turn into humans?" And I'm like, that's not. Or no, I'm sorry, I did read it backwards. I apparently have dyslexia. It's, "Can humans turn into wolves?"
Which that's a medical fucking mental disorder, lycanthropy, where people think that.
How long have humans been around?
Well, that's up for debate right now, because we keep finding shit that, like Homo sapiens as we know it today, we think have only been around for 100,000 years, and now there's some that suggest that they found evidence that it could be pushed back to 700,000 years.
So it looks like you are correct that wolves have been around longer than humans.
Which would make sense.
It does make sense. I just wanted to verify. Because
humans are just, we're so new, branching off, even though we are animals, we're so new branching off into this, higher consciousness, not necessarily higher intelligence, but higher consciousness, and being bored with our surroundings and being able to ask the dumb questions of like, why are we here?
Yeah, that's a dumb question.
Yes. That's a fucking stupid question.
Okay.
What is the meaning of life? That is one of the dumbest fucking questions I've ever heard. There is no meaning.
There's no meaning to life?
No, it's just a cycle. We're just here to continue a revolution, to observe. But we have arrogantly, pretentiously, pompously ranked ourselves an intelligent level. Now, I'm not saying that we aren't more intelligent than a lot of animals around us, but people also forget that simplicity is very, very, very intelligent, because it is, in my opinion, a lot more intelligent to be able to just exist and find a way to find that balance than it is to complicate your lives with nonsense like, why are the stars shaped the way they are? Why does lightning do that?
Well, but a lot of that's just scientific questions that we've had over the years, which I don't think that they're nonsensical questions. I think that's us just wanting to understand our environment better.
Also, we weren't even smart enough to realize we got domesticated by fucking wheat. And grain, because before agriculture we were free roaming animals.
But some would argue that we chose to become domesticated.
Well, sure.
You don't think so?
Yeah, we had a choice in the matter.
We could have continued the way we were, hunter-gatherers.
Yeah, until we realized that the stuff that, when we were walking through the fields and whatnot, the seedlings that attached to us and then later deposit themselves in a fertile ground and grew more, luscious and more abundance in these areas. And we're like, oh, food that grows more here. Hey, even though we didn't know that this food that all of a sudden just grew in abundance here would lead to so many fucking problems, because you can't survive on just that food alone.
No, once we domesticated the wheat,
Well, no. Once wheat domesticated us.
Once we domesticated the wheat, we had to learn to domesticate the animal.
We did not domesticate wheat. Wheat domesticated us because wheat made us live in houses. Because domestication means to house. We don't house wheat.
Domestication doesn't necessarily mean to house.
That is the very definition of to domesticate. Go ahead.
It doesn't mean to house. It's basically the process of taming or controlling the cultivation of a plant for food. So we domesticated.
We didn't know.
We domesticated wheat.
No.
And I know that you're going to argue that wheat actually domesticated us.
And the reason why I'm going to say that is because I get it from the book called Sapiens.
I get why you say that wheat domesticated us, and I don't necessarily think that you're wrong. But what I'm saying, when we domesticated wheat, we had to then learn to domesticate the animal. And when we learned to domesticate the animal, things kind of started going in a very certain direction that led to fucking AI.
Well, also, because when we started domesticating animal, we started doing things to animals that today we find very unethical, but we did for hundreds of years. Well, hell, we still do it today.
Well, I don't know that we did anything basically to animals back then that I would find truly unethical.
Really? You don't think just taking, because we have done this for thousands of years, is we would take the calves and whatnot of cows once we domesticated, and we would go ahead and just slaughter them to keep the mother producing milk because the meat was more tender from the calf.
I mean, we gotta eat.
But you would say that's ethical?
I don't find anything unethical about the circle of life, which is...
But we were circumventing the circle of life.
No, I think that I think we like to think of ourselves as different, but we're not. We are a predatory creature.
We're
and
not.
I think...
We're not predatory. We're omnivore.
I also think we're predatory. And I think that we prey upon other animals.
We prey on the weak.
Much like other animals, we'll kill the baby.
We generally, during our hunters and gatherers, and it carried on, we preyed on the weak, on the young.
So...
And we changed our tactics from food to other nefarious things.
So yeah, I don't think there's anything necessarily inherently wrong.
I'm looking at you, Catholic priests and other people of cloth.
I don't think there's inherently anything wrong with slaughtering a baby animal.
So you would eat veal?
I personally wouldn't eat veal.
I would. I have. It's delicious.
I'm just not a fan.
Venison is deer meat. But yeah, no. I'm
not a fan of like red meat.
I mean, we do the same.
I eat it, but I'm not a huge fan of it.
We do the same thing when it comes to fish.
Yeah, but see, this is it. Like, I'll eat a baby fucking tuna. I'll eat a baby fucking tuna. Like, I don't care if it's a baby tuna that I'm eating. I'll eat a baby fucking tuna.
So what's the difference between a baby tuna and a baby cow?
I just prefer the taste of a baby tuna.
Is it because you can't really pet a baby tuna?
No, it's well, I mean, I don't know that I'm eating baby tuna. I could be eating grown tuna. I don't know.
Oh, hell, you don't know that you're eating fucking baby cow.
I'm not a fan of cow, is my point. Like, that's why I would prefer the baby tuna, is because I'm not a fan of cow.
Or baby pig.
I don't care if the cow, to me, I don't care that the cow is older or younger. Like, I just want cow sometimes. Sometimes I just want fucking...
You want that beef.
Sometimes I just want that tuna. I don't really give a fuck what kind of tuna it is, as long as it's in water and not oil. That's all I care about.
What about dolphins then?
I don't eat dolphin.
Are you sure about that?
I don't eat dolphin, but...
You don't eat bumblebee tuna.
I don't think that we should necessarily eat dolphins, though.
Oh, so you're okay with eating tuna, but not for eating dolphin?
Like, and I know this is gonna make me a hypocrite, and I admit that this makes me a hypocrite because I eat octopus. I will eat some fucking octopus. Like, calamari is good. An octopus roll is good. But I don't think we should eat creatures that are as intelligent as us, and that's an octopus.
Yeah, an octopus is like extremely intelligent.
Yeah, I know. I just said it makes me a hypocrite because I don't think we should eat dolphins because they're highly intelligent creatures. But I don't think we should, and I don't think we should eat octopus, but I have eaten octopus.
And
I'm going to stop eating octopus.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am. I make this vow. I'm going to stop. I'm not going to eat octopus anymore.
All right.
Because you know what? I don't want to be a hypocrite.
Squid?
I don't want to be a hypocrite.
What about squid?
I'm not going to eat squid.
So next time I order a squid salad, you're not going to fucking...
I'm not going to eat it.
Bullshit.
No, I'm serious. I'm 100% serious because I was today years old when I realized that I was a fucking hypocrite, and I don't want to be a hypocrite. So I'm not going to eat fucking squid or octopus anymore. I mean, I wouldn't eat an elephant because an elephant's a highly intelligent creature.
I'd eat the fuck out of an elephant.
See, but then again, I think we've come to the point of this conversation where we just come to realize that you don't have ethics.
Well, I do. It's just, and now I'm not saying I would just go out and murder a fucking elephant and eat it, but
I would eat an elephant if it was like dying and I was starving.
like given the opportunity, well, fuck, I would eat a human.
We've had this conversation before.
I'm down to eat just about anything. And I didn't say I will eat anything. I said just about anything because I am not eating chitlins.
You'll eat a human, but not chitlins.
I am not going to eat, like, I will take a chunk out of, like, somebody's thigh or butt cheek and things like that. But I am not going to eat something that literally is shit filtration, that you literally have to boil the shit out of.
Are there conditions under which you would eat a human, or would you just go murder a human and eat it?
Oh, no, I would, like, if a human volunteered to be eaten, I'd sign up. But I'm not going to go out and murder a human just to eat it. Because also, like, if humans take on, like, the difference between free, grass-fed and free-range animals, there is a different taste to it. Grain-fed versus, free-range. The free-range has a gamier taste than corn-fed or whatever. So when it comes to humans, I'm not going to eat an American simply because our diet consists of too much grease and fat, and it's just not going to make food tastes good. I'll eat a fucking dog, one that's barking right now.
You cannot eat my dogs.
If I was to eat a human and the flavor transfers into the meat, I would eat a person from the Mediterranean area because I love Mediterranean food. So, and then I would definitely take like probably part from their like thigh or the buttocks because even though you're like, no, look, fat is bad. No, fat is juices that help flavor the meat and it marbleizes. And so, yeah, no, I'd probably want to eat a female simply because they tend to have more fat on them, especially one that's have children. And yeah, no, I would definitely take a chunk off of an adult woman who's had a child or two.
I don't know that we can release this part.
Why not? Like, and I'm not saying I'm gonna go out and like murder a Mediterranean woman and fucking eat her, but like if like one fucking volunteer and be like, hey, yeah, no, like, yeah, let me get a slice of that butt cheek. Throw that shit on the grill.
Yeah, I think this is gonna get us put on a watch list.
I'm not going to go out seeking human flesh to eat. Okay. But if anybody's out there, it's not going to get us on a fucking watch list, okay? And if it does, fuck it. That's free publicity. Some fucking NSA agent is going to have to fucking listen to this and be like, oh, I'm getting overtime. I just got to listen to this asshole talk about fucking stupid shit. But no, I would totally eat a human. I would. Yeah, I've had ostrich, I've had kangaroo, I've had bison, I've had alligator.
When did you have ostrich?
There's a restaurant in North Carolina.
Okay.
That Rob and I went to, that Jen took us to. And it is a restaurant that specializes in quote unquote exotic meat.
Is that where you also had kangaroo?
Yes. And basically they had a sampler and you got to choose, what it was that you get to eat. And I was like, yeah, no. What's available? Now, well, I take that back. I did not have kangaroo because that was not available at the time. But I did have ostrich, I had bison, and I had alligator. Bison is beef. It's a little different, but not much. Ostrich, it's fucking chicken. Alligator.
I've heard alligator actually tastes like chicken.
Not really. It's chewy. But to me, it did not taste like chicken. I could definitely tell I was eating something that did not taste like fucking anything else I ever eaten before. But now there are certain meats out there that I also don't like simply because it doesn't taste good, even though everybody thinks it's fucking great. Like I don't like lobster, and the reason why I don't like lobster is because it's a garbage fucking creature. Lobster is shit.
I like lobster, but I think it's overpriced.
The thing is lobsters they're bottom feeders. They
I do
eat
like
the fucking
taste
garbage.
of lobster, though. I just think it's overpriced.
And it's because, like, it became so... The thing is, all right, so lobster actually used to be... The reason why, and it's still, to me, it still is back in the day, lobster was given to the slaves because it was a garbage fucking food. It's like carp. I don't eat carp because carp doesn't taste good because they're bottom feeders. They just eat trash and garbage. Lobster was taken from the black people. That's why you don't fuck with shrimp. Black people and shrimp. Now, I will fuck some shrimp up because shrimp is good because shrimp is not bottom feeders because shrimp is good as fuck. But lobster... It's a trash fucking animal. It's not, and also you have to take the shit vein out of the lobster. There's a vein you have to remove out of the lobster. You also have to remove it out of shrimp. But there's a vein that you have to fucking remove out of the lobster so you don't fucking eat it. And it's the fucking shit vein. But a lobster or a shrimp, I'm trying to think. I'm probably sure I'll be corrected. But I kind of want to retract the whole shit vein on a shrimp. Google that real quick for me. Because I am positive. I know because I used to work at the fucking Olive Garden. And whenever we prepare the fucking lobster, we always had to remove the fucking vein, that the chitlin vein, as I called it. But in shrimp, I don't think there is one.
Yes.
There is one in shrimp?
Yep.
Well, it makes sense. It's a crustacean. But like, well...
Although... Apparently on a shrimp, it's safe to eat that. It's typically removed for aesthetic and textural reasons because it can be gritty.
In a lobster, you have to remove. Go ahead. Google it.
You do indeed have to devein a lobster.
Now, there is...
Without deveining a lobster, you can get food poisoning.
You don't have to devein a shrimp.
It just typically is done. Whenever it's because the tract is so much bigger.
Probably. But here, to me, and I know whoever's listening will probably agree with me, there is one crustacean that is superior... That you'll be like, ew, God, ew. No. Crawdads.
I don't like crawdads.
Oh, crawdads. Oh, fucking break their tail and suck the head, baby. Crawdads are so good. Some of y'all call them crawfish. Crawfish boil. Crawdad boil. I call them crawdads. They're crawfish, but they're a little garlic butter sauce. Fucking, Ah, damn.
I don't like crawdads.
Yeah, you don't like food. I've had to develop your taste, and I'm getting there. I'm working on certain things. You like lobster.
I like lobster,
but
I don't. I think lobster is over fucking rated. Like I like it, I don't want to eat it. Like I'm never gonna sit down and be like, you know what I really want today? Like a fucking lobster.
But lobster, when it was first fucking given out, was a fucking slave food.
Yes, because it was not.
Because it's a garbage fucking food.
Yeah, it was not considered a high price food. Now it's expensive as fuck.
Because fucking you give garbage food to slaves and they have to make it taste good. And then all of a sudden white people are like, well, hang on a second. Y'all can't have that. We're going to take that back, but you can't take chicken away. I will die on this hill. If I go to a chicken place, even though I will say, all right, I'm going to catch a lot of hate for this. But Popeyes, y'all ain't good. Simply because your breading is too fucking much. You got too much breading. Now, I ain't going to sit here and say that Chick-fil-A is better. No, it's not. Popeyes could be so much better if it just wasn't so fucking breaded and greasy. But if I'm going to, if my choices are a white person cooking chicken and a black person cooking chicken, I'm going with that fucking black person. Hands down. If a white person is cooking shrimp and a black person is cooking shrimp, I'm going with the black person. Hands down.
You know, technically those are stereotypes.
No, those are facts.
Those are technically stereotypes. Not all black people are good at cooking.
Okay. All right. And to debunk that stereotype, not all white people don't know what fucking seasoning is. Because you see me cook.
Oh, you know, you can cook.
Why?
You can throw down in that kitchen.
And why?
Because you worked at Olive Garden.
No, because Olive Garden, it did not use, that's fake Italian.
I don't know why you can
and
cook.
It's bland as fuck. No.
Didn't your aunt teach you how to cook?
No. Poverty taught me how to cook. So I had to learn how to make, because if you take chicken by itself, it's just plain old chicken. Chicken is bland as fuck. It's got no taste to it. And over time, you're going to get tired of it.
This is true.
Like, because chicken is so lean, there's no fat to it, so there's no flavoring. But because chicken is so quick to raise and be able to fucking harvest, I guess, chicken is it's a moneymaker. And I know, like, the reason why chicken and watermelon is such a stereotype with black people is because of this. Even during slavery, when black people were freed, and they had a little bit of land and they were trying to make money, they raised chickens and they grew watermelon because chickens and watermelon did not require a lot of land to grow. You could harvest, you can do whatever you needed to do in a small amount of time to get what you needed to get done. So a lot of slaves depended on chicken and watermelon to make money. Mm-hmm. So, but chicken on its own, with no seasoning, nothing, is bland as fuck. It's got no flavor. It's got no taste. So when you in poverty, you got to learn how to add more than just salt, more than just pepper.
More than just lemon pepper.
And you gotta change it up from just fucking lemon pepper.
I say that because I am famous for only seasoning my chicken with lemon pepper. You gotta add some
paprika. You gotta add some chili flakes. You gotta add other things to it.
I'm not good at mixing seasonings. I know how to use lemon pepper. You just add the lemon pepper.
Sometimes you be like, what if I take flour and egg and be like, throw it in some fucking oil and shit with some other seasonings and
I
whatnot.
don't like breaded stuff.
But we got way off track of fucking.
We got way off fucking track. Our original topic was whether or not it's okay to clone humans, which led to whether or not it's okay to...
We can clone humans to fucking eat.
We cannot clone humans to fucking eat. And with that, we're going to end this because we're not cloning humans to fucking eat. With that, thank you for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe on all the podcast places and all the social media places because we are everywhere like herpes. Harry, any last comments?
I will be back.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Night.